Ebenezer, can you please send Omar Tejada a link? He said he doesn't have a link for this evening's meeting.
I already sent it to him.
Oh, just now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, great. I just got a text from him a couple minutes ago. Was there a public notice that went out about this evening's meeting? Hello?
Yes, we send an email all the time, yes.
Oh, because I know a couple of members of the public who had questions about the link and are just going to view it on Facebook or whatever is the live through the website. But I think that there seems to be an issue with people receiving notification, and I don't know if that's a function of Gmail putting the information into people's spam filters or what the deal is. Hold on. Omar is saying that you sent him the link to the district service cabinet meeting, not to the executive committee.
My bad. Let me try it again.
Thanks. Can I send him my link?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Faye.
Hello.
Hi, Jim.
Omar is in the attendees.
Yeah, Ebenezer, can you please share with me the email that you sent to the public indicating that the executive committee was this evening, because I did not receive that email, and usually I receive the public notifications. So if you could forward it to me, that would help me to understand what my email is doing in terms of grouping these things. Hi, OC. Where are you, here or there? Ah, what time is it?
I got back to New York on May 31st, and my father passed away 3 days later, so I flew back.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
thank you.
It's
And
been a really hard year for you.
Sorry, Elsie, on your loss.
oh, thank you.
Really sorry.
Oof.
Yeah, me too, OC. Wow.
May his memory
Thanks.
be a blessing. Oh my goodness, you've had a lot of loss this year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for your loss, Ozzy. Isidro on the line.
nice, Adrian, thanks.
Congratulations on Bibi, though.
Hey, Ozzy, how are you?
Hi.
I wrote, Ozzy, do you feel like, taking notes and stuff? Because Rosie's about to join in a minute. So maybe you want to take a little break, or how do you feel?
Technically, Rosie is doing the executive committee meetings.
Right. You want to take
So-
attendance to see if we have a quorum so that we can start the meeting? Hi, James. Early.
It's 10 of us, so we have quorum.
We have the quorum? Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order. It's 6:36. This is June 15th, 2021. About 6:36, we're gonna start the executive committee meeting. Extremely blessed to be here with your company. It does take a lot to be here. You need to have health, the will, and the drive to be here and give your time to community affairs and the things that matter to all of us, the things that makes us together, which is our community. I was extremely happy to attend Borough of Manhattan, not the Borough of Manhattan, BUMCC town hall yesterday, which Faye was one of the moderators. I was under her committee's purview. That town hall was extremely productive. I'll let Faye explain it and report on it, but I just wanted to highlight what was said yesterday, and it's one of the things that makes us all makes us all to be here. At times we lose focus on different things, but I was extremely proud of being part of this Community Board 12, and that really says the difference between a board member and a community member. So Faye, thank you for the work that was done last night. With that, I'll leave Ebenezer with his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always a pleasure being here as your district manager. Also, my sincere condolence to you and your family. So sorry for your loss. I know what it is. It's very hard. Not too much to report. You know that we are in the closing of the fiscal year 2021. fiscal year end on June 30th. And I am doing, all the payments updates and auditing the materials. Omar going to have a complete treasury report, but I've been, working very diligent to make sure that all the vendors had been paid for this year, and we use our funds effectively. And also, yesterday I placed an order for the supply from the staple for the thing we need for the office in a regular basis. Of course, this time I ordered more hand sanitizer and cleaning the stuff than before. A good news that I have, Aussie, all gender signs were installed on all CB12 bathroom doors last week. In our community board doors, the 2 bathrooms have the sign, and also the 2 other extra bathroom that the building has on the floor, the signs were changed. So right now we have 4 bathrooms with a sign outside that said all gender bathroom on the community board 12th, 6th floor. The Deputy Inspector Charlie Bello has been transferred from the 33rd precinct, transferred to the 44th precinct in the Bronx. His last day, he said the last day was Friday this week, but I just got a phone call a few minutes ago from Jose saying that his last day is tomorrow. I asked him to come to the District Service Cabinet meeting on Thursday, so he's gonna have opportunity to say goodbye to the member of the cabinet, et cetera, et cetera. Also, the shield on the protection shield was installed on the front desk at the office, and the air conditioner filters were ordered. I am following up, hopefully that we can have this installed this week. This is the end of my report. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Ebenezer. Thank you for the work you do, for the hard work you put into making sure that things roll as best you can. Ozie, I don't know what to say. You want to give a report, or you want me to?
Well, I had my hand up. Sorry, I had my hand up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind us that we didn't approve the agenda. So it's just a reminder that we should always do that. I don't have anything to add to it. There's just some old business stuff, but that's under old business, which is the trainings. But we really should approve the agenda in case there people have questions or there is some issues with it. And we didn't do that.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Put a motion on the floor to get the agenda approved.
I second. I was gonna say I would like to amend the agenda to add the treasurer's report to it. At least I didn't see it on there.
Is that customary to have the on the executive meeting the treasurer's report?
Of course it is.
James?
It was there before. I have agendas
Always
with
been
it.
there.
Yeah,
Until I went on leave.
So then after
It's
you
always
can
there.
go ahead. So we move to have the report today. So we're gonna have your report now.
Wait, we have to vote on the motion to approve.
I think Mary said she seconds it.
Right, so then we have to vote to approve it.
Okay, so let's vote on
All in favor?
Any
all in
objection?
favor. All in favor. Anyone abstains?
All in favor?
No abstentions. Motion passes. Okay, Omar.
I had my hand up for Ebenezer.
Oh, sorry, didn't see you, Curtis. Sorry, my bad.
I just wanted to thank you, Ebenezer, for acknowledging the change to the bathroom. It is Gay Pride Month, LGBTQ Pride Month, and just want to acknowledge that is really great news to have during Pride Month. And hopefully we'll have a greater, larger statement to make at our general body meeting. I did reach out to the chairperson to ask if we can share a more blown out statement acknowledging Pride Month in our community. And he did acknowledge that he would give Richard or myself time to say something at the next meeting, but I'm really happy to hear that that's also a big step in the right direction, and just happy to hear that happened during Pride Month. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Curtis. Appreciate that. Omar?
First, OC, my condolences. Really sorry to hear the news about the passing. My prayers out to you and your family. Second, I want to thank the whole community, the whole executive board for your support during my time out. It was extremely humbling, and the amount of help that that provided to me and my family is I can't put it into words. And to add some good news to all of that, the reason why, if you see this video and you see all these boxes behind me, is because my wife and I are expecting our first child. And our first child is due on August 5th. It's a baby boy. And amongst all of that, this has come from that. And, you know, we're creating 2 new grandmothers, first-time grandmothers on both sides. So just thank you, really, thank you. And bear with me come September if I look a little bit more tired than usual. There should hopefully be a little boy around here. So just thank you. Wanted to share that with the whole board. Moving on to the treasurer's report. I did send this report out. Hopefully that eventually gets circulated to the executive committee. There's when it comes to how much we have in personnel expenses, that's pretty standard. It's funding that we can't touch, so I don't want to talk too much to personnel expenses. Same with lease expenses. That's standard. We can't leverage lease funding either, so I will leave that alone. Really, the funding that we're talking about is the $45,000 that's budgeted for the board's use for other than personnel expenses. That's anything for the office, that's telecommunications and translator services. So on that end, out of the $45,000, we've liquidated about $20,500 as of June 11. We still have a balance of about $24,000 unliquidated. And that seems to be part of it, was that there was $10,000 that came in right before I left from Idanis Rodriguez for graffiti removal. I don't have an update yet on that. Maybe others can talk to that more than I can. And then there was another additional about $10,000 influx in funding to other than personnel that I can't speak to at the moment, just I'm getting my feet back up. But if anyone else can talk to those 2 funding sources, you know, the floor is yours. But right now we have an unliquidated balance or remaining balance of about $24,900. And as Ebenezer alluded to, he's ordering stuff as we speak. So those numbers are changing, that surplus is reducing. But in terms of Sally Fisher asked the question in the Q&A, I don't have a status on that. I leave the floor to those that might have a status on that funding. And that will conclude my report and yield the floor to others.
Thank you, Omar. Sorry for the mishap, but I see that you have a question on the floor.
Yes. What is the status of the 11K in City Council expense funding allocated to the board? That's what I just spoke to. Ebenezer, I don't know if you have a status on that, or Eli.
Yeah, the money as promised in the beginning is going to be allocated to Cloth, Community Leagues of the Heights. We accepted it. So they're going to start the process of bringing the people and hiring the sites. It's been extremely difficult to pick a site. I've spoken personally to 3 landowners or property owners in 181st in Amsterdam, Cummings and Broadway, and 181st in Audubon. And they've all been sort of hesitant about, you know, getting art in their buildings. So that's the status of that. So I guess what Yvonne Sennett, the executive director, agreed to, by the way, she says, hi, Wayne, wanted to use some of her buildings that are affected by graffiti as most, and she's going to speak to other homeowners that we don't have the outreach to, we don't have the relationship with, to handle that as well, the most we can. It's expensive, but is a honorable thing to do by also hiring, you know, local artists to do this kind of work. So it's a win-win situation for us. That's
Great.
the answer on that.
Thank you. And the other question was, can the treasurer's report be sent to all board members? Yeah, sure. I mean, Ebenezer, when you have a chance, if that can be sent out, you have the PDF, so that should be easy to do.
Yeah, should also be posted on the website as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have a line of questions, I guess. The one that's, I don't know who's first, but I'm going to start with Liz, Tanya, and Curtis.
I just wanted to say welcome back, Omar, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tanya and Curtis.
Yes, also, congratulations. I'm glad you're back and feeling better. And my question was just, we are going to be outreaching to people to do some trainings around racism, power, privilege, and oppression. And I just wanted to, I know that we need to, see how much is available in our budget to pay for that. So, because that would help us when we're outreaching to be able to give people, a budget, so that they can either say yay or nay based on what we're offering. So I just wanted to know, bring that to you. I know you wouldn't have an answer tonight, but, that's something that maybe we could, we definitely would need to have. We could probably correspond, I don't know, via email or something, but it's definitely something that we need to look into the budget and see what line item, we can create for it, for that work.
Yep. And I think Ebenezer has their hand up.
Curtis?
Yeah, I just want to take one step back and say that the idea for the pride statement was not my own. It was Tanya's, who emailed Richard, Almond, and I to say we should create a pride statement. I suggested we do something publicly at our general body meeting. And I just want to acknowledge that it was actually Tanya's idea because she corrected me, not my idea. But so we are moving forward and we will be coming up with a statement to share at the general body meeting. I just want to take a step back to just acknowledge her, that it was actually her suggestion that we continuously do these statements to acknowledge different communities within our group, within our community. So my apologies, Tanya, and hopefully that's.
Put cream. Okay, thank you, Curtis. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Oh, Omar, I'm sorry. I meant to say, Omar, did you say that Ebenezer was going to get back to us or?
Yeah, he had a hand up to make a response.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't see that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you all sorry for the typo there in the presentation. We're so happy to have you back that didn't include you in the meeting, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, gonna now move on to the review of September's 2021 meeting calendar.
I'm sorry, point of order. Ebenezer, did you have your hand up to respond to my question about the line item? What, because, or no?
But you're on, we can't hear you, Ebenezer.
What you want to do for the next fiscal year, 2021 gonna.
Can't hear you.
I think I know what Ebenezer's going to say. The fiscal year ends on June 30. So right now we're right up on the line in terms of when we can procure goods and have services rendered by. So I think that's what he was trying to allude to.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, what I'm saying is that your project is for July, and we need to deal with the next budget, fiscal year 2022. I just want to remind you that the fiscal year 2022 budget gonna be reduced a little bit more. So I don't know exactly how much money we're gonna have. Remember last year, because of the pandemic, they asked us to have a reduced budget. And we have a little funds there available right now. We paid for one of the study that was conducted a few weeks ago. But whatever project you may have, you need to submit it, and we need to review all together the budget for fiscal year 2022.
And I can give you kind of like an estimated number on what 22 might look like right now based on one-time funding that we received in this fiscal year and what's anticipated for removal for next year. It's going to be under 30,000 and other than personnel. Even though today,
26%.
yeah, it's going to be a big reduction because even though it sits at 45 today, 10 of that is one-time funding for the graffiti project, and the reduction for next fiscal year is anticipated to be around $8,100. So we're going to be as a board under 30K, and the board averages about 24K in expenses per year, give or take. So you're really working with like maybe 5,000 and change as like, expenses that can be attributed to other things that aren't part of running the office. So that gives you a ballpark, kind of how to think about that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll need to confer so that we can, figure it out so we know what we're telling people. But I do appreciate you looking into that, and I will be in touch with you and Ebenezer about it. Thank you.
Okay, Omar, I know that it's gonna be 26% at least across the board. That I know for a fact. Okay, we're gonna now review September's 2021 meeting calendars. And I'm sure that there's a lot of changes that may or may not be made. Wayne, before I move on, 'cause I really wanna get,
Well, no, for the calendar,
Oh,
land use is not going to meet on the first Wednesday in September, meaning we're not going to meet before the holiday. We'll meet after the holiday.
If I may respectfully.
would you, hold on, let me finish this point. So you're saying to move it up to when? To the 22nd?
Well, no, to the second Wednesday,
Nope.
which is actually what we discussed last time, that it probably would not be on the first Wednesday.
All right, so then
For the second Wednesday, we have licensing and public safety already there.
And it can't be on the second Wednesday because that's Rosh Hashanah.
Well, it could be anytime.
It is not going to be on the first Wednesday, as we discussed at the last meeting. It will be the subsequent week. We can figure out what date works best for all, but it will not be on the first Wednesday. If I'm unclear, let me know.
Okay, of course. Which other days do you have in mind, Wayne?
Well, as I said, typically we keep it to the Wednesdays, but we can adjust based upon if we have too many meetings on a given day, and if we're running into holidays. But that's something that everyone, I'm assuming, will have to work with, not just land use.
All right, so we can go, for public safety, we can go back to September 1st. I initially said we would not meet that day because it's the first of the month and it's also right after the holiday, but I am okay with moving it back to the 1st and hopefully have a good turnout for our first meeting back. So,
All right, so we have some kind of order here. Ebenezer, Curtis is saying that he's gonna move his to the 1st. So you're gonna have 2 meetings on that day, or 1 meeting on the 1st, and then when you wanna go back to the 8th, and then we'll have licensing and land use. So does that fit?
You can't have the meeting on the 8th.
I don't know if that can't is.
It would be strongly inadvisable
Well,
to have
it is.
a meeting on Rosh Hashanah or
And
on
I think
September.
I think what was happening here is that the committee chairs are telling us which days they would prefer to have these meetings, regardless of faith or religious associations or anything like that. If this is something that we all can agree on, I'm fine by it. But I don't want to use the word can't or shouldn't. That doesn't fly here.
If I
Nope.
can comment on
Nope.
this,
Chair, so on the licensing perspective, we used to do
I
this
have a
on
point of
Wednesdays.
order.
Point of order. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you. The reason we avoid certain religious holidays, Jewish holidays, Christian holidays, Muslim holidays, is because members of the community, as well as members of the community board who might like to attend these meetings, would not be able to. And so we do not want to exclude either board members or members of the community by having a meeting on a day of great religious significance. I think that's Liz's point. It's always been the policy of this board, and I believe we should adhere to it.
If I can reiterate what I said,
Please.
I said that land use is not meeting on the 1st and that we are moving it to the next week. And the extent to which there are, holidays or other committee meetings we need to work around, that we all collectively need to do that, not just land use. So it has already been stated that the second Wednesday is a Jewish holiday. And if that is the only holiday within that week, we can note that and work around the scheduling.
Great.
It's not quite clear why we are repeating ourselves.
Yeah. So Isidro, you're the only person now that has a meeting on conflict.
That is incorrect. There are multiple conflicts.
Let me just finish, please.
Yes, and I think it's proper for people to give in the, the proper time. not for members to observe the meetings while speaking. So for licensing, I will go with what will be easiest for the staff to see if the meeting can be perhaps moved, because all of our merchants are used to a Wednesday, so they have to give advance notice to other merchants that there'll be a change. I'm not against moving the meeting, but it will have to be a well coordinated effort in making sure that all merchants are aware if there is a change.
So which date do you have in mind?
Then we should move it to the following Wednesday.
Was that the 22nd?
The 15th.
Can't have it on the 15th, that's Yom Kippur.
If
I may.
Excuse me.
If I may.
Of course you can, but
Thank
there's
you.
no anything around you can't or you shouldn't. It's all of us.
If I may.
Sure, you can go ahead.
So here is the email that I sent yesterday that apparently no one read, which is unfortunate.
Well, I read it, but I just don't want imposition on it. I mean, I read it, so don't say that no one read it, because you're disrespecting members.
Thank you. In anticipation of our meeting tomorrow, please be advised of the following religious holidays which fall this year in September and on which it would be inappropriate to schedule community board meetings. Rosh Hashanah begins at sundown on Monday, September 6th and concludes at sundown on Wednesday, September 8th. Yom Kippur begins at sundown on Wednesday, September 15th and concludes at sundown on Thursday, September 16th. Sukkot begins at sundown on Monday, September 20th and concludes at sundown on Wednesday, September 22nd. Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah begin at sundown on Monday, September 27th and conclude at sundown on Wednesday, September 29th. We therefore will need to reschedule the following meetings. Business development would usually be held on Tuesday, September 7th. Licensing would usually be held on Wednesday, September 8th. Public safety would usually be held on Wednesday, September 8th. The district service cabinet meeting would usually be held on Thursday, September 16th. The executive committee would usually be held on Monday, September 20th. The general meeting would usually be held on Tuesday, September 28th. All of these dates and times are at major religious holidays on which it would be strongly inadvisable to hold a community board committee or general meeting. And we've been around this particular block before. You will recall what happened last year and the year before, where the borough president had to intervene to reschedule meetings. So since it's only June, we could totally take the time now to solve this 3 months in advance, which I think is plenty of notice. I would suggest moving the general meeting to Thursday, September 30th, and the executive meeting to Thursday, September 3rd. The following dates are available for committee meetings. Wednesday, September.
We can work out when
you can suggest.
Second, Thursday, September 9th.
We can work out when we schedule the meetings.
And Tuesday, September 14th. Those are the only days.
We can work out when we schedule the meetings.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Wayne. So we read your email. I'm sure you read mine. That it specifically says that we're going to do it in the executive meeting. And that's the way that it's going to be. The dates will be selected here. All consideration will be, as usually every year we do, we'll do the same. We're going to take every single consideration of any holiday, of anything, so that no one feels that they're being excluded. Right? So Curtis, I want to hear your point. And Steve, and then we can move on and finish up with the dates.
Well, I've already confirmed my date. I'm cool with that, September 1st. My next question, I would like to have my meeting in person on September 1st. Can I meet at the office in the large room to start back to having in-person meetings now that restrictions have been lifted? Is that possible?
If that's part of what is being allowed, yeah. If it's allowed, of course. We all can't wait to come back to press meetings.
Well,
so
I would plan to have my meeting September 1st at the office in the large room, so we can account for any needed social distancing. If we need to make adjustments in August, if something crazy happens, like numbers go back up or down or wherever they're going, we can discuss. But I would like to take the dive and go back to in-person if possible.
Thank you for RSB being so quick. Steve. Steve Simon. Steve.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. My question is basically similar to Curtis's. If we can meet in person again, which I assume we can in September, then I would want to be able to do so, and also meet in the large room. And in that case, I would move my the start of my meeting back to 7 o'clock, which was the traditional starting time. That would be my request.
Okay.
The other question I have is, obviously we need to respect the high holy days, but I thought in the past we have not moved our meetings because of Sukkot and Shemini Atzeret.
We have.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not sure about that, but
Right.
certainly we need to move the move any meetings that conflict with the with Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
I saw thus far we don't have any meetings on Wednesday the 8th, so I think that we should be good in that sense. So Ebenezer, we're gonna have licensing on you said the 21st, right? I mean, sorry, the 14th. Isidro, is that what you said?
We can have either on Tuesday if it's comfortable with the Jewish holidays. It can be moved by a day, so I'm trying to see, a medium.
Yeah.
Liz, Yom Kippur starts on a Tuesday?
Yeah, it's Tuesday into Wednesday, so you really can't, it would be a conflict to have it on either of those nights. I will also say that as much as I would love to get back to in-person meetings, because there are so few dates on which the space is available because of the holidays, I would like to have my meeting still on Zoom, but possible to have whoever is having buses in the background off. Can somebody mute themselves? It's really distracting. I'm happy to have my September meeting still on Zoom so that we can still have, possibly 2 meetings in person on the 14th, because I think having a Zoom meeting isn't so much
Okay.
conflict with an in-person meeting. I'm also, yeah.
All right. So Mary,
I'm sorry, Chair. So before you move on, I'm sorry. Ebenezer, so see if we can do then the licensing meeting on a Monday.
you have 3 Mondays. You have 13, 20, and the 27th. Actually, not the 27th, the 20th, because the 20th is the executive meeting. So
Second Monday, please. Second Monday.
is the 13th.
Yeah, we have 2 meetings already. Youth and education, the second Monday.
But we're going to have a virtual meeting.
Yeah, I have my hand up because I want to comment about virtual meetings.
Yeah, we need to wrap up. Isidro's here, Jane.
Yeah, but we're talking about whether we can have virtual meetings or not, and that's what I want to comment on. When the governor removes his emergency order, which he hasn't done, we will not, as I understand it, we will not be allowed to have Zoom meetings anymore. So keep that in mind, unless they change.
I'm sorry, Jim, could you repeat that? We will not, you said?
Right. We are required to meet in person, and right now there's an emergency order that says we don't have to. So when that order goes away, then we have to again, unless they change something.
Understood.
Now, they may want to change things so we have the option, which might be a very good idea, but that's not how it is, as I understand it.
So Ebenezer, definitely second Monday of the month of September, we find for licensing. And if it's virtually, we'll go virtual. If it's not virtual, then we'll go in person.
Isidro, we have a problem.
Okay, Isidro. All right. So no meetings on the 8th, no meetings on the 14th.
We have a conflict on the second Monday. You have traffic and transportation and youth and education. If it's via Zoom, I only have 2 Zoom. If it's in person, I only have 2 Zoom.
You can
I-
meet on
I
the
strong-
14th. Liz, are you saying they can't meet on the 14th?
No, the 14th is fine. And again, I'm happy to meet, to have the meeting on the 14th on Zoom, if that's still permissible. And if it's not permissible and it has to be in person, I am happy to find an alternative park-based location so that there can still be 2 meetings happening in the community board space. And I will do it in a way that doesn't require staff, because you know, if that's helpful, we have the same number of meetings and fewer possible dates. So I feel somewhat of an obligation to go the extra mile to make it a little bit easier for my colleagues to change their dates. So I'm sure I can find some space in the community in a park, you know, possibly in the Payson Center or something, if that's
Okay.
necessary, or meet on Zoom.
So Isidro, then potentially the 14th. Is that okay? Does that jive with you?
It'll be fine, Chair.
All right. Okay, great.
Thank you.
So last, Tanya.
I just wanted to say, I think we talked about this not enough before, but when we do come back in person, and thank you, Jim, for letting us know what the rules will be, because that was very informative. How are we gonna, I think it's been really helpful for people, the community, to be able to zoom into these meetings. We've had greater participation. And so my question becomes, how do we continue that? What is the plan in place to continue that engagement via Zoom for our attendees, even if as we are in person? How are we resolving that? What is going to be the process? Because if we are coming back in September and we're in person, this is something that we need to have worked out, right? If we want to try to continue, continue to allow people to engage with us in the way that they have been over COVID. That's it. So just what? Yeah, live streaming, or no, but they can participate in the meeting via Zoom or something. Like, what is the process so they can still be able to participate in using the tools that they were able to use now, which made it easier for some of our community members to actually engage in our meetings, because a lot of people couldn't come when we were in person for many reasons. So that's my question in terms of what are we doing technology wise? Who are we working with to address that particular possibility or issue?
We're hoping as a community board, and some of the things that most community board chairs in the borough's board meetings are stressing is that we're looking to continue to have some sort of hybrid system so that the growth and the participation of community members have increased, obviously, that we continue on that path. I think it's important that that we can continue to attract as many people as we can, and Zoom and the virtual world has been an extremely good tool to make that happen. So there's nothing in stone yet. I'm sure that we'll hear something next Thursday in the next borough board meeting, but the plan is to continue to push for a hybrid system in which, yes, we can have presential meetings for those who want to, but that we can still utilize the tool of the virtual world to get more participation from our community members. I have Francisco.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Yes. Thanks.
Francisco, Ozzy, and then wrap up.
Yeah, I just wanted to second what Tanya was saying. I think it's very important that we update our tech portion of our committee, going back to in-person meetings, and try to definitely implement the same kind of thing that we were doing with the Zoom. That's pretty much all. Good idea, Tanya.
Yes, excellent. Ozzy?
Just a question to Ebenezer. Can you please send an updated calendar in the next day or so everyone still remember what date they wanted to put their meeting? So, because it's so confusing there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
Yes. Remember, I bring this to the general meeting always, to be approved. But yes, as soon as I have these changes implemented, I will circulate it again to make sure that I have all the notation. And then I will present it again at the general meeting.
I meant to send it to all the chairs in the next day or so, so everyone can comment, all the chairs can comment
I will
before
do.
the
I
general
will do.
meeting. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Elsie. So, Ebenezer, you have another text in hand. So,
Wait,
I
wait, wait.
see two more hands, but I want to continue. I want to move on. I think most points have already been made.
No, we haven't resolved the issue of moving the executive committee and the general meeting off of holidays.
And I did want to make one suggestion also, just
Sure.
perhaps maybe it's the chairs of the boards could be proactive and draft a letter collaboratively to send to the governor to encourage, just share feedback on what this benefit of having the hybrid model would be. And maybe that would be a way to get his attention if everyone's worked together to send something to him.
Yeah, the letter's probably going to be coming from MBPO and the universe of all the chairs. It's probably, that's what I'm hearing. Mary, you have your hand up, or you want to say something else?
I had my question has
No, wait a minute. I said, Mary, you have your hand up.
But you took my hand down and it was raised.
No, I didn't.
My hand has been taken down like 3 times already, so, you know.
Oh, I didn't. I'm not controlling the, I'm not controlling the system, so I'm not touching anything. So you have anything else that you want to say?
Well, I was just going to say, when we finish September, we haven't talked about July yet. July calendar.
I think we did the last meeting.
I had been here. I don't think I'm completely deaf yet. My hearing aids work.
What changes would you like
Wait,
to
can we
make?
finish before we get to July? Can we please?
No, we want. I've said after we finish September.
Allow me to run this meeting, please. Please. Thank you. Go ahead, Mary.
No, I said after we finish September. Can we do July?
Of course. Go ahead, Liz.
Thank you so much, Ebony.
Of course, kindly. Yes, very kind of you.
So, can you please respond using words to my suggestion and request that the executive committee meeting be moved and not be held on a holiday, Monday, September 20th, and that the general meeting not be held on a holiday, Tuesday, September 28th. I respectfully request and suggest that they be moved respectively to Thursday, September 23rd and Thursday, September 30th.
Unless the majority of us, which I think we are the majority, have any kind of suggestions as to why they would want to move it and which date the majority of us would like to move it to, this is the time for you guys to please speak up and suggest and address Lisa's suggestions. Wayne Benjamin.
I just want to point out that I'm sure others have multiple evening commitments throughout the month.
Yes.
And anything that is proposed tonight for, modification in September, we should have, a few days or so to review and coordinate to make sure that we're not, accommodating the community board at the expense of other commitments.
Okay, point taken. Anyone else has anything to suggest? No, so I think we're gonna continue to work on those 2 dates, the general and the executive committee, but for the time being, those are the days that we're gonna keep in the calendar. Again,
Eliezer?
yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say one thing. I get it. It's tough to accommodate, because everybody has requests and it's very tough. And I get it, but one of the things I just want to say is I just want to make sure we're careful if someone is bringing up like a religious holiday or something that they observe, that we handle it in a way that doesn't come off as antagonistic, right?
Sure.
So even if I don't understand or the holiday, or I don't celebrate it, or it's not something that would be on my radar, it definitely could be something extremely important to somebody else. And I just wanted us to be aware of that, because I feel like within this, there was a little bit of that occurring. And that would be with anybody, whether religion it was, whether it was Muslim, Jewish or whatever, it doesn't matter. I just feel we didn't handle it the way it needed to be handled. So I get it that these things need to be worked out. Everybody has these obligations, including myself, and it's hard to switch things around. But the way we did it was a little bit concerning for me. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
But with
Tanya,
respect, we deal with this every year, and the way to handle it so it doesn't get, touchy is to outline in advance the days where there are conflicts so that we have the time to coordinate with our committees to move things around, not be told when we can and can't do things. It's like, give us the dates when there are conflicts, and we're all intelligent enough to work around it and work it out.
Exactly. Those are the keywords here, or shouldn't be you can't or you shouldn't. You should be let's talk about it and let's work it out. Those are the keywords that you usually use whenever you want things to work in a collaborative way. Rosie.
Sorry, I was on mute. So I think, because I know that the general board meeting and the executive committee meeting, we would have to discuss that amongst ourselves. So what are other suggested dates that we may have in order to replace those dates? So that way, if possible, we can, if we're gonna change it, that way we can change it to those dates. But I know that you sent us a list of the days that we cannot have them, but the other days may overlap other committee meetings and other meetings. So I just want us to figure out some sort of time to accommodate this if we are. And we can discuss that now, because I don't see suggestions at this point in terms of like the days that we can switch it to. Because I'm seeing that there's a lot of the executive, if we switch the executive meeting, they may bump into another meeting. So I just want to make sure that when we switch it, we're not overlapping. Thank you.
You have any suggestions, any dates, Jim, before we go to you?
No, my comment, which I think, some of this discussion has been very thoughtful. And I just want to remind us that one of the reasons we have an excused absence when meetings are changed from their normal date is because someone may already be doing something. So on some level that, facilitating moving things around is already built into our bylaws without harming members too much.
Okay. All right. So is the 21st of September, or maybe like Wayne said perfectly, we can get back to this and then we can work it out. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And then unless anyone else has any else to chime in, I'd like to move on to the chair reports. Debbie, is Debbie here? Debbie's not. Francisco?
Wayne, I'm sorry to
I'm here.
When you're gonna have your meeting? I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
The first, Wednesday the 1st.
For land use?
No, that's Curtis. Curtis is playing Wednesday the 1st. I did not give you a date.
Okay, so I am not crazy. Okay.
You are not crazy. You are perfectly sane.
For the record, I could keep my date on the 7th. If that, I think that because there's just so much going on, I'll stay with the 7th.
A point of order. Apologies, but I think we forgot Mary. She said she wanted to go over the July calendar after September. I just throwing it out there that we forgot her. That's what we can need to circle back to her. Can we promise? That's all I'm saying. Have a good one.
That's why my hand is up.
Okay, Mary, because I thought your hands were still up from the last time. So we're gonna go back to July, Mary. Sorry about that.
I don't know how I missed talking about the July calendar, but I just want to know if this is the final draft here the way it is. If there's
what change would you like to make, Mary?
I don't want to make any changes. I just want to know about the the whole executive committee, the chairs, if there are any changes or additions.
There aren't any executive meetings in July and August.
Because I don't recall, but
that
you
we
know,
take
who
off. There's a
knows?
committee
I
of
don't
the
recall
whole.
having dates set for this training and for the committee on the whole. I don't remember having a part of that discussion, but
Yeah, we usually have one meeting in July,
Right.
which is the committee of the whole. And this
Right.
time we picked July 27th.
okay. I didn't hear any discussion about it. That's why I'm surprised
Don't
to
worry
see
about
it without having been, you know, in a
We'll-
discussion about it as to
Right,
when it would be.
No one's gonna get left behind. We'll get back to it as many times as needed. Thanks, Tanya, for bringing it back. Steve? Steve, you have something else to say before we move on?
Yeah, Francisco, I think you made a mistake when you said you wanted to meet on the 7th, because that's Rosh Hashanah. I mean, that's one date I think we definitely need to avoid.
Okay, Francisco, any other date that does not conflict with any Jewish holidays?
May I suggest the September calendar be marked up to show the Jewish holidays, and as suggested, circulated to the chairs in the next day or so we can confirm where we would like to move meetings if we want to move them, as opposed to continuing to do this.
That's an excellent idea.
Excellent idea, Ebenezer. With the changes that
Okay,
have already been made.
I will mark and send it out, but we need to
Yeah.
have a draft here because we cannot be discussing on the email this matter. Everybody has to be on the same.
I don't think setting a calendar, we are prevented from setting a calendar via email.
Okay, so here's what Wayne is saying so that we can move on.
This is
You take whatever we have thus far, you send it out, and then you mark the Jewish dates, the holidays that is being discussed here, and then people are gonna send you back the feedback, and then we'll make a final draft to be sent out. Right? Fair enough.
And we're gonna have that before the general meeting. My concern is having this public before we go out on the holiday.
That's okay. We have plenty of time.
Okay.
Rosie last, and then we're moving on to Francisco.
I guess just a quick suggestion, if we can screen share it. I mean, I don't know if you guys wanted to do that for now, but I also do agree with Wayne. So whichever option, I'm just throwing options in there to like mediate the situation.
All right, sounds good. So we're gonna go with Wayne's suggestions to send it out to all the chairs and finally get a final draft.
Great.
Thank you, Rosie, for your input. Always important. So Francisco, your report.
Okay. Do I talk about the switch of my date, or are we off that?
Is there anything that you'd like to report on? You can say go back to the minutes, or you can
Okay.
just mention something quick.
So we had our meetings, and we had Marissa Sanigo from MEND NYC, which is an agency that helps community members and businesses work out their differences in the community so we can cohabitate. We had, let's see, sorry. So they basically explained what MEND was. We have some community members that attended the meeting and they asked questions. After we spoke with Marissa, we also had the director of concessions for the parks to talk about the ice cream truck issue that we were having over at the Jacob Javits playground, to discuss what can be done to avoid this moving forward. And hopefully actually MEND would kind of help facilitate if there is any issues moving forward. That's pretty much it. We also had City Bike versus Washington Heights, which was really just about any effects that City Bike might have on our local bike shops. As you guys know, some of our business owners are a little skittish when it comes to either talking to people they don't know. They think we're all cops. So I try to get them to come to the meeting. Again, they're a little skittish. It's not something that they normally do. So I didn't have much participation. I did speak to about 3 out of the 6 shops, and they mentioned to me that one has big in rental. They make some of their monies come in with the rental, so that's being affected. But other than that, it seems like the bike shops are not being negatively affected by City Bike. I'll come back though, maybe in 6 months to see if that's still the case. Other than that, please refer to the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, Francisco, thanks. That was a good meeting you had. We're gonna have Isidro next since he's got some personal issues that he has to handle as an emergency. So Isidro, next.
Thank you so much, Chair, and I'm sorry that I'm taking over perhaps the person that is next. But quickly, we had 15 licenses at the committee. At that point, 4 licenses were withdrawn. There were no point of contentions, with exception perhaps of United Palace that is requesting a liquor license, a full liquor license, and there's a debate whether or not they're a church or not, and perhaps not, not paying taxes as such. So that is a very complicated matter. We hope that they're going to come back and show some documentations, but it is what it is. And then after that, there was some licenses that didn't pass because they didn't post the proper public notice. And I think that we're sending a message that they should place the proper notice. And some folks withdrew the applications because they didn't do the proper announcements. So I'm glad that this is coming out. But no major issues of licensing, and I really appreciate Chair the opportunity for me to go first. I really appreciate that. If there are no questions, I'll refer to the minutes later on.
You have Steve and Francisco.
Isidro, are you saying that the United Palace doesn't pay any taxes whatsoever because they certainly also host a lot of commercial events and concerts there? I assume they would have to at least pay some partial property tax because they don't seem to function entirely just as a church.
Right. So I have not seen, and I probably will not request any tax documents, but I'm sure there'll be a point of issue later on if such license is approved. There was also an issue of them not being completely open to the community, a question about the board. So it's going to be an interesting process for them to see if they can have a liquor license. But as far as like paying taxes or not, Steve, I can answer that question right now.
How can you have a liquor license on the premises of a church?
It's not allowed.
But they're trying.
Right.
Wayne, unless Steve has any other points to make.
Well,
No,
I
have a lot more to say on the subject, but I'll hold my tongue.
yeah, I know part of what Steve has said in the past, but what is their rationale for the liquor license?
So they say that the United Palace doesn't entirely operates as a church. That and based on that, they feel that they should have full access to a liquor license. What they do is before that they will have a catering license coming to the shop, and some other operator would charge for the alcohol. It would be completely illegal to sell alcohol at a place of church by the same owner or the same representation, meaning that a church cannot sell alcohol, but someone can come in and sell alcohol. That would be a catering license.
Okay. So is it the church part of United Palace that's applying, or the cultural arts part of United Palace that's applying?
It's the cultural part, but that building in itself has been landmarked. So I don't know how I can separate one versus the other.
Yeah,
for tax purposes.
It's probably not the building, it's the legal entity that's applying.
Probably
Is the cultural a separate 501c3?
That honestly, I don't have an answer for that.
That would be a good question to have them answer.
Actually, he spoke to the business development meeting last 2019, I believe, and I believe he did say that the cultural side is a LLC and the other side is a charitable business structure.
Well, if it's a separate legal entity, they would have filed with the Department of State or whatever. That's easily verified.
Exactly.
Again, I don't have the tools to check on that. That'll be some legal process to take place.
No,
So
the Department of State stuff, you can get it online. Or Ebenezer can do it online.
okay.
All right.
Right.
Great.
But I thought you can't have a licensed liquor establishment within 500 feet of a church or something like that.
And that is the question, because if the church is right there, even if you have a separate center, you still be within the 200-foot requirements.
But the church has the ability to say they do not object. That's also part of the rule.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not aware of that, but I never seen anything similar to this.
Yeah, this is a little odd, yeah.
Really is. They might want to try and turn the corner of 175th in Fort Washington into a restaurant. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. That's a possibility. But we just speculating. So Isidro, go get it.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, Curtis.
Alrighty.
Thank you for your patience, man.
No problem at all. So I guess the first big thing from public safety is, as Ebenezer mentioned, our friend and community partner in safety is leaving, Charlie Bello. I've been in contact with him many times today. Actually, I was walking by and I was going to stop by the precinct to talk to him face to face and say goodbye, but he wasn't working. So I'm going to see him tomorrow. Big loss for our community. It's been great working with him and learning. We don't always agree, but he always listens and respects our views. And he always tries to find a solution. I think he's been great because he is from the community and he understands and has a level of compassion being from the community that I think is much needed in this position as a precinct leader. So I will share with you all what happens next. I believe because of the new rule of hiring practices that de Blasio laid forth a few months ago, that the precinct council, as well as myself, would have some role in participating in the interview process. When I spoke with Captain Bello today, he said, well, they're going to be contacting you because you're going to be a part of the process of selecting. So I'll keep you all posted to share what that process looks like. This is the first time it's ever been done, but as you know, they're now allowing the precinct councils and I believe the public safety chairs for the board to also be a part of selecting the next commanding officer. So that is, I guess, one light. He's going to the Bronx. And as you know, ATVs and bicycles are a big issue in our community. And we know for a fact that a lot of them are held in warehouses in the Bronx. So perhaps this is a great effort, a great opportunity for us to have someone in the Bronx that would be more responsive to helping to mitigate and maybe fast track all of the things needed to happen with the DA's office in the Bronx to get warrants to search those facilities to confiscate those vehicles. So that's one good thing, or one positive way of looking at it. As for other updates, there was a domestic violence homicide yesterday, and they did make an arrest within the confines of the 33rd precinct. They also responded to 2 overnight shootings. I believe they arrested the perpetrators for those 2 shootings. They also made 4 arrests for fireworks this past week, which is great. He did share with me also their fireworks suppression plan that they've been implementing the past few weekends. They are not arresting people at the street level, but they are just disrupting the pipeline of sale, and they're trying to find people who are selling. They've been doing things such as standing on buildings in particular locations. There are 4 locations they've been targeting each weekend. I'm not sure if they're changing locations, but they are selecting locations week by week based on the 311 calls. So if anyone's listening out there, please continue to make those calls because they are watching and they are listening. Other than that, what else is going on in our precincts? I have not heard much about the fireworks suppression plan in the 34th, but I do, as you all know, I have a much stronger relationship with the 33rd precinct, fortunately, and he's been sharing a lot of their suppression activities. That's pretty much it. I'll have more to share in our minutes at our next meeting.
Curtis, you sound like a news reporter, man. You're covering so much ground. I'm amazed. Thank you, brother. Thank you for keeping us updated. I don't even have to read the newspapers anymore with your reports. Steve, I see your hand is up. Is that because you have a question, or are you still keeping it from the last time? I guess not. Alrighty. Thank you again, brother.
My question Yeah, my question for Curtis, would Deputy Inspector Bello be leaving before the replacement has been selected?
Yes. That was my biggest question this morning when I texted him. He said he is leaving. Actually, he starts his new post on Thursday. So he'll be lingering around a few days, but there's not currently a replacement. He told me they'll be reaching out to me to I guess to interview them or be a part of the process with selecting. The commissioner still has the ultimate decision-making authority, but they are including community leaders in particular positions to be a part of it. But it will be vacant for a while. So I'm going to go to the precinct tomorrow and ask that he connects me with whoever is going to be liaising for the next few, until that replacement is filled.
Well, I think that could be a problem. Who knows how long this process could take. Listen, I'd appreciate it if you would share the fireworks suppression plan with me and maybe with the rest of the executive committee.
I will share that with you. I didn't because there are particular locations. I don't want to. I'll share it with the. I was kind of concerned about sharing where they're doing these things, so people could just move and go to another location. But I don't think it's anything private. But I will share it with the exec committee now.
All right, thank you.
All right, okay, guys. Thanks again, Curtis. Let us know when where Charlie's heading next. Maybe we should just move down there.
Bronx.
Oh, the Bronx. Damn. The next Faye, you're up next.
Me, Faye?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Actually, isn't land use next?
I thought it's Wayne.
I did that on purpose to get.
No, go ahead. Wayne, you go. It's okay.
Just a quick aside. When I work,
first tell us where you are.
When I'm in Buzios, but about the location of the fireworks, years ago, there was a sweet old lady who worked with the community board in South Jamaica, active in everything, worked with the precinct council. But it turns out that every time there was going to be enforcement for drug activity, suddenly the corners would clear. And what was happening is she was telling the young fellows about it, and so they were avoiding being caught. And when she was confronted about it, she said, "Oh, well, but I didn't want the young fellas to get in trouble." And it's like, okay, but you're a part of the community board that's complaining about the drug activity in your community. And when the police are getting ready to do something about it, you're giving them a heads up so they can avoid it and continue to do it in your community. So think about that.
Yes.
Anyway, land use, we had a 3-hour meeting, which is kind of long for land use, but it was an informative meeting. We had 5 presentations, 3 of which included resolutions. I will deal with the resolutions first and circle back to the 2 other presentations that did not involve resolutions, although one of them I think is of great importance to the board. So the first one that had a resolution was a proposal from local residents of Riverside in the area where I live to expand the Audubon Park Historic District. And you may recall there have been various discussions over the years to expand the district to include the row houses on 158th Street, to include 857. And it's been a little piecemeal, and each time landmarks has said, interesting, but we're not going to do anything. So what the group has done is a very detailed and informative assessment of everything north of West 155th and Riverside going to 162nd. And if you go to the 2007 neighborhood planning study that CB12 did, those are exactly the borders that CB12 recommended that LPC use when they were looking at Audubon Park. So it was, very informative, a lot of information, and we passed a resolution supporting that. Department of City Planning presented 2 additional text amendments. The first one regards Fresh, and Fresh is probably a 5 or 10-year-old initiative that gives certain incentives to buildings to build new supermarkets that include fresh produce And there's a certain percentage of the produce that must be, perishable goods as opposed to canned goods. Washington Heights and Inwood is already in the boundary for fresh, and this initiative is to expand the boundaries to additional communities in the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. And in the initial program, Staten Island was not included at all. So the northern shore of Staten Island, I believe that's Community District 1, will now be included in there. And there's also some, modification to the rules, because right now the stores have to have 50% of the facade glazed. If you're doing a renovation in an existing building, you put a store, that can be difficult. So there's some design modifications. The next DCP text amendment pertains to what's called physical culture establishment. Basically, these are gyms and spas. And if you've been on the board long enough, you may remember that there are 2 Planet Fitnesses that opened recently. When I say recently, in the last 5 or 10 years in CB12, each of them had to get a special permit from the Board of Standards and Appeals because 1970s rules put in place do not allow them as of right. What's pointed out is the extent of commercial gyms, Blink, Planet Fitness, they didn't exist in the 70s. The rules put in place in the 70s really focused on controlling the sex trade in Times Square. So this proposal is to eliminate the requirement for the special permit and basically treat smaller gyms and spas under 10,000 square feet, the same as, commercial retail activities. If they're over 10,000 square feet, they'd be subject to certain additional regulations when it comes to noise, and they would really only be permitted in commercial and manufacturing areas. When it comes to massage, the other thing that has happened over the years is massage therapists are now regulated and must be licensed by the state education department. So they'd be treated the same as any ambulatory care or clinic use. So those are the 3 resolutions, all of which were supported by land use. Sandra Harris and a large team from Columbia presented the plans for replacing the tennis bubble with a permanent tennis structure. That was just an informational presentation. There was no action that is required. And the Sean Rickenbacker, who is the director of the Bond Center at City College, came back with a presentation at our request to talk about the digital planning platform they created for CB9. And they talked to us briefly about it in December and gave us more details in a presentation of what we can do with it in lieu of updating our 2007 planning study, which is basically a static paper document. It is using GIS and other systems to pull in city data and to manipulate it in various maps and spatial forms so that anyone, you don't need to be a planner, can look at the information that's available and determine how a particular development on a site would impact your area, or what are the possibilities, or if we're looking for vacant sites of X square feet to locate a school, we can do that. So this is something that is very exciting. It is set up by the Bond Center with the community board for free. They negotiate a period of time when there is no charge for using the software. And this is the same software that's used by city planning and by professional planners. And after that, there's a discounted rate per license. And I think a 1-year license, and that's probably all we need, would cost about $2,000 or $3,000. So as we're looking at the budget and we're looking at how the community board needs to do the business of the board, this is something I think is well worth our time and money. Land use can certainly take the lead in working with the Bond Center, and it's a 6-month effort to pull together the planning platform. But the first step is to have every single chair of the executive committee participate with them to tell them how their committee would want to use the system, because the system is custom designed to how we want to use it. It's not off the shelf.
Righty. Right, Wayne, check your email.
Check my email?
Yes.
I will.
Faye?
Yes, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Yes, we're reporting on our town hall. I wanted just to say, first of all, I want to thank you, our chairman, for attending and helping with the opening and share some thoughts. I think we had actually a great town hall.
We lost you, Faye. Faye, you're with us? Faye? Faye, we lost you. And get back to Faye, I guess. I see everyone's faces for the most part.
I don't hear her either.
I don't hear it. Okay, so just get back to us. Okay, she's texting me. She'll try by phone, but in the meanwhile, Mary, would you? Oh, okay, wait a minute.
Excuse me.
Faye, I guess Liz is next.
Faye?
We lost you. Get
Am I next?
yes.
Thank you. Lots of events going on in the parks, virtual events happening in parks all around. There are concerts, there are children's plays, there are, things are starting to happen in person. It's really exciting. I encourage you to read more about it in the minutes, which are forthcoming. We will have one resolution from our committee, which I will get to you as soon as I can, regarding the proposed redesign of the Dykeman Rest, which is at the northern edge of Highbridge Park, where Dykeman Street and Nagel Avenue intersect, Dykeman, Nagel, Fort George Hill intersect. There's a small, frankly, pretty sad area that is just pavement and some benches. There was substantial community engagement and outreach, particularly to the Dykeman houses. The Parks Department put together really a beautiful design that uses every possible square inch of that space and creates not only a lovely sitting area that has the same amount of bench space, but also excellent playground facilities for neighborhood children and to support the folks living in the Dykeman houses. And it also adds a dog run, which is something that many people in the community have been asking for. There was a fairly substantial conversation back and forth about wanting for the dog run to be a little bit larger, but really the only way to do that would be to take away space from children's seating areas, what have you. So this is a really good compromise plan that meets a number of needs and is a nice compact design and gets a surprising amount of usage out of a fairly small space. It's beautiful. And that's about all I have. Are there any questions?
Any hands up? Nope.
And with
Okay,
that,
thanks.
I bid you all a good evening.
All good. Next, Mary, because Faye's still having issues with her phone or her computer.
Okay. Our last meeting focused a lot on reopening of the senior centers.
Yes.
And they have reopened yesterday, or most of them have. There were a lot of issues still because they hadn't really gotten the entire guidance that they needed to get. It's like the cart got put before the horse. The reopening was yesterday and they're having a meeting with the commissioner tomorrow. So, who knows? Most of the centers are not providing meals at this point, and very limited activities. They're focusing mainly on, the needs of the seniors in terms of the help that they need to get, to be able to live day to day. One of the things that we had, talked at length about too is, in terms of our meetings and possibly going back to face-to-face meetings, is wondering, in terms of the senior centers, because our committee was before COVID going to the senior centers to conduct the meetings so that we had more seniors involved. And we don't know if we're going to be able to do that. And so a hybrid kind of thing would be really great, because we were thinking that if they could hook up Zoom connection in the senior center, that we could do the kind of the same thing, go from center to center each month, but have, people at the center who wanted to be involved in the meeting be able to quote unquote Zoom in. So, that's something that we want to talk further about. And that's, basically it. We talked about, we reviewed the year and how it's been and the things that we've accomplished. One of the things I'm very proud of the committee for accomplishing is having 2 resolutions this year. Not a lot compared to other committees. However, it's a lot for the Aging Committee. I don't recall since my tenure in the Aging Committee having 2 resolutions within a year. So, and both of these have been really good subjects that have, really brought, our last resolution was to get get the senior centers reopened, and most of the directors of the senior centers voiced that the reso actually did that final push to get them to agree to reopen. So that's about it.
Thank you, Mary. Rosie, is that you have a?
Yeah, that's a hand. So I just want to agree with Mary that if we can possibly keep some sort of hybrid, because that'll definitely accommodate people with different abilities. People who would makes it hard for them to travel to the physical location for the community board. So I definitely 1000% agree. And I think we should keep it somewhat a hybrid if possible, if we can accommodate that with the borough president's office.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with that, because like I say, the committee was going to the senior centers, but I don't know, with all of the restrictions and the social distancing and all these regulations, if we're going to be able to do that at any point in the near future. So it'd be nice to reincorporate the seniors into the Aging Committee as well, because their input is, really essential.
Rosie, is that satisfy your question?
What was that? I'm sorry.
A question. It was just a suggestion.
More of a comment. Curtis, that you had your hand up and now you're not.
No, I was going to say what Rosie mentioned, that is a really good selling point to take to the borough board meeting to, as a talking point, to really push for the hybrid model.
Good. Yeah, Mary's been able to bring the Aging Committee to the forefront of the conversation. Thank you, Mary. It's really outstanding. Steve, Simon?
Yeah, and I tell you, as long as we're acknowledging the work of Mary's committee and the resolution it did on the senior centers, we should also point out that it brought citywide attention earlier to the issue about seniors being able to be given their own line at banks and various places during this crisis over COVID-19. So that brings me to the latest statistics from the health department. The positivity rate in our district is now at its, I believe, at its lowest point ever. All 4 of our zip codes are under 1% positivity for last week. We had 22 new cases, which is probably also the lowest point we've had. Since we had our board meeting on May 25th, there have been 107 new cases in our community and 3 additional deaths. Sorry to report that. Our vaccination rates are, for the most part, at about 50% in each of our zip codes for people who have had at least 1 dose, and at around between 43 and 46%, 47% for those who are adults who are fully vaccinated in the 4 zip codes. So That's not the greatest, we should be doing better than that. Um, and With respect to vaccinations, as you know, Presbyterian has now closed the site at the Armory. And I once again requested that they give us numbers of how many people have been vaccinated from our community. And after months and months and months of asking for these numbers, they finally provided them. So what we found is that in the four Washington Heights Inwood zip codes, 40,592 people were vaccinated at the Armory. And then they told us that New York City residents totaled it at about 108,000. So of the New York City residents who were vaccinated at the Armory, 38% of them came from our four zip codes. What they did not tell us, actually, now that I look at it, is the total number of people who actually were vaccinated at the Armory. A point which I think OC would appreciate. So that we know that non-residents were certainly in the early period were getting vaccinated. So I will be asking for the total numbers of people vaccinated at the Armory, so we could really put the numbers of local residents in a better perspective. So the hospital is continuing to offer vaccinations at the Winter Garden at the Children's Hospital. As of the time of our meeting, 3,454 people have been vaccinated there, and they are also providing vaccinations at the ambulatory care network practices, and those would almost entirely probably be Community Board 12 residents. We had an extensive discussion about the status of the psych unit at the Allen Hospital. There is apparently still no plan on if and when that unit will be reinstated, even though the need for the COVID-19 beds is declining. We had an extensive discussion about where psych patients are going now that those beds have been closed, and we asked for more information, and hopefully it will be provided. I will be requesting a presentation from the Office of Emergency Management on the new map recently issued for hurricane evacuation zones. This mostly affects Inwood. The rest of Washington Heights and Inwood is hardly affected because of the topography, but Inwood has a number of areas which are within different evacuation zones, and we would like to get a better understanding of how that was determined and how this will impact people who live there. So that will hopefully be a topic for discussion at our September meeting. We will be offering at our board meeting next week a resolution in support of proposed resolutions that have been offered by various parties concerning unreasonable noise and other quality of life issues. I would like to make reference in that resolution to the 33rd Precinct's fireworks suppression plan. So Curtis, again, I would like to see the plan. And the other issue I want to bring up is that subsequent to my committee meeting, the State Department of Environmental Conservation issued notices concerning two brownfields in our community, one of which is at 4778 Broadway, next to the Inwood Library, I guess the old car wash site, which is to be developed as some kind of a commercial building.
Yeah, that's correct.
A draft remedial work action plan has been released, which I intend to review. Comments are due by July the 24th. And then also the supermarket site at 207th Street next to the bridge. A remedial investigation report has been issued for that site, and comments are due by July the 9th. So obviously, in both of these cases, I would draft letters which I would ask our chair to sign off on.
Yes.
And we can circulate them to the board. In both of these cases, we would be just making basic comments on these various reports. I don't know that this is as reluctant as I am to just have the committee and the chair review this. I think we have no choice because of the deadlines.
Right, Steve. Let's get going. Ozzy, you had a question for Steve?
Yeah, Steve, in terms of the location next to the University Heights Bridge, are you talking about the beer warehouse or the big supermarket across the street?
Right.
I'm talking about the supermarket on the south side of 207th.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, what was the other one that you referred to? The what
The
house?
beer warehouse.
Oh, no, I don't believe that's what it is. I believe it's the supermarket site.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that's a brownfield because it was used for outdoor parking for so many years. Until I read the report, I'm not sure what why it's been designated as a brownfield.
Right. Thank you, Steve.
All right,
Ariel,
I'm back.
so you're back?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I did the last one. It's okay.
Yes, you are the last one. Hey, go ahead. You are the last one.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry about what happened. Last night happened the same thing. But anyway, yes, I just wanted to say that, yes, we had a great, town hall last night. And I wanted to say that we have over 100 registrations, although maybe close to 70 participated. We have several students that participated along with their teachers. And one of the things that I think it was really very captivating is the student interactions. Some of the suggestions that were made at the town hall was for the need for technical program or concentration in technical careers, given the fact that not many students necessarily are inclined to pursue going into a master or even bachelor degrees. So some of the careers, technical career that was mentioned, Chairman mentioned electricity, those who want inclined to become electricians. So I suggest the culinary, the Institute of Culinary, those who want to become chefs and stuff like that. I also suggested that maybe they can join with the Institute of Culinary Institute, so they can form a partnership with the institute and provide that kind of careers for our students here. Also, I mentioned the local any possible relationship with local unions that offer career in carpentry and similar career as well. So, but the point that I'm trying to make is the technical career was something that it was really something that the community actually, wanted to see CUNY to go into it. There was also mentioned the need for increase in counseling for the student counseling. One of the things that I wanted just to mention is that they also wanted to see that the CUNY concentrate in providing employment opportunity for students with disability, which is something that the community is being silent. It's a lot of students with disability that need that kind of assistance. Also, it was mentioned that the CUNY wanted to come up with some kind of a studies around the district to listen or to learn from the student what is the kind of career that they really and also the needs that they really needed or would like the CUNY to concentrate. So I suggested that CUNY should provide some kind of a survey, but a direct survey to the students so they can learn directly from them what are their needs, because I think personally that a student can articulate exactly how they feel, what they want, better even that their own, teachers. So this is something that I think they're going to possibly, follow into it. And what was the other thing that I wanted to mention? Pretty much in general, I would say that the town hall was a very productive. I think that the board definitely, in the eyes of the community, actually show a great leadership and collaboration in that particular sense, I should say. And Steve, I wanted to mention to you, which I think is important personally for me, that when the CUNY decided to add our name of the board on the flyer, I promised to send you a draft, so as you suggested. But what happened is that CUNY sent the draft with no time for sufficient time to get feedback. So they send it late on a Thursday, and they expecting the response the next day, early, next day, and it wasn't sufficient time. So the chairman actually reviewed it and okayed, and that's how it happened. But I just wanted to mention that it did not that I ignored or anything like that, because when you make a promise, you owe, and that was the reason. So aside from all that, I just wanted also to mention that sometime on the on the 24th of this month, along or in collaboration with the Business Development Committee, our committee will be providing what we call an opportunity for parents who are into the business of providers, child care providers, and also for CBOs who wants to become or want to learn how to become DOE vendors. So this is something that is coming, and I just wanted to put up there because I couldn't actually make that kind of announcement at that town hall, since it was just precisely, I don't think that I had actually that opportunity. So, and I think basically this is the what I wanted just to share with you. More to come on the minutes. It's going to be a very brief minute, but on the overall, I think we had a very productive town hall. And again, I'm sorry about, the interruption. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Faye. Couldn't thank you enough. Wayne?
Yeah, Faye, I just wanted to circle back to the discussion of the town hall with CUNY. CUNY, throughout its various campuses, offer a tremendous range of technical and certificate programs. I think they have a couple of culinary programs as well as hospitality program. They have lots of computer and technology training. So in addition to doing a survey to find out what students want, and what students want also should be tempered with what are the demands in the market. But I think it'll be great if CUNY would share all of the non-degree but certificate programs that they offer right now, and see if folks even know they exist and are an option for them to pursue right now.
Well, when the idea came about technical careers, they did not mention that they offer that kind of
that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, they offer a number of programs, and what might be useful is to have that information shared more broadly so that folks know about them.
I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna chime in and say that yes, what they were referring to in the town hall was to be a listening session in which what our community, the Uptown, the Washington Heights, needed. Exactly, what is it that we needed? What they offer, they already offer, that they are going to provide it. But they wanted to hear from us, from the community and the students, to see what other services they can add to what they already have. Is basically the purpose of what
yes, no, I understood that. I mean, I was struck by the discussion of perhaps creating a culinary program. They don't need to create it; it already exists. I think
they just need to bring it uptown. That's what they need to do.
Or you don't have to go uptown. I mean, if they offer a full program at New York City College of Technology, where they have built out commercial kitchens, you get on the train and you go to college. The same way that you get on the train and go to a ball game.
That too, but if you want to. Go ahead, Faye. You go ahead. Sorry.
But the suggestion was that they partner with the Culinary Institute, and apparently, whatever they're gonna ship or share, what is already implemented in downtown Manhattan, is what they're going to be overseeing in there. So I guess what I just basically doing is just bring program that is already offering in other community college and just, you know, getting the personnel to implement those programs here. But I don't know whether or not, honestly, if they had that in mind until we came up with that idea last night. So, and they need to mention, you know, whether the program is provided with the Institute of Culinary, which was, I think it would be a great idea if they do it with them. There was something else that I wanted to mention. My God, it was important. I forgot what it was. I guess I forgot anyway. But
Okay.
yeah. So
Right,
I think we as a board, and so many years that I've been in the board, I think in terms of collaborating with other, you know, agency, I think we really excel design and the way in which with, you know, collaborate with them. I think definitely the board did a great job, and you know, in helping and the interaction that we have, it was very, you know, I guess organic, I should say. But you know, I'm very happy for the kind of work that we did it with them. Very pleased.
Thanks, Ray, once again. Okay, before we call the meeting for adjournment, I'd like to get Tanya's report on her collaboration and initiative, the inclusion resolution, a work that is being done between her and Catherine Garcia, our first VP. Tanya?
Yeah, Catherine Diaz.
Catherine Diaz.
But yeah, we have scheduled, it's on the July calendar on July 20th, and Ebenezer sent that out to us on July 20th at 6:30 p.m. We have the first training, foundational training from the New York City Commission on Human Rights on race and color, discrimination on basis of race and color. And that's going to be 3 hours, and in this via Zoom. And we are going to be sending out a save the date. Catherine put together a flyer that includes all information about how to RSVP for that. There's also going to be emailed to you a message that gives a little context, all board members a little context to it. So you will be receiving that from us, hopefully soon, and so people can put it on their calendars. And again, you know, we hope that as many of our board members can join us, and we hope that we're planning on sending that save the date out prior to the general meeting. That's the plan. So that, you know, everyone can have that information prior to that. And then we also are working in August on a training on working with transgender and gender nonconforming communities, that again by the New York City Commission on Human Rights, to give us a greater understanding of that community and how we can more effectively engage with them and learn, of course, about more about that community and needs of that community. And we are going to be working on some dates. August is pretty open. It's going to be similar. It will be via Zoom. It's shorter than the race and color, so it's like 2 hours. But we will be choosing the date, and then again, you will be sent information similar to the other to register for that one as well. And we are currently, as I mentioned earlier, trying to get more, working on securing more in-depth, more targeted in-depth training that really addresses some of the deeper issues around race, racism, power, privilege, and oppression. And again, depending on how much, you know, we have in terms of funding for that, will determine what we can do. But I will strongly encourage this board or and the powers that be on this board to really ensure that we have enough funding to do this work. This work cannot be peripheral. It is essential to what we do, as we have to engage with a diversity of people in our community. And so we should definitely be on the same page in terms of what our knowledge and our understanding of these things. And so I want to, you know, just encourage us to find ways to, you know, from the chair to the board office of Ebenezer, to find ways for us to get the resources that we need to do these to do what needs to be done to fulfill this. And this is only one part of the resolution. As you know, we agreed, and we as a board, to do numerous things, but the trainings, that's one aspect of it. But we felt that was a great place to start, so everyone has a uniform, consistent foundation, starting from the same starting line in terms of understanding these issues before we get deeper into some of the other work that's required in the resolution. Any questions?
I think I have Steve and, oh, no, Ozzy was first.
I have for an old business, so it's not yet.
This is pretty much all business or
Okay.
continuing business.
It's not the same old business, so I don't have a question to Tanya. I have another old
Okay.
business.
Sure enough. Steve Simon and then Wayne.
Tanya, the training on race and color, is that only for community board 12 members?
That is correct. Like,
Okay.
what we are doing is fulfilling the terms of trying to begin to fill. Yeah.
I understand. So in that case, I would suggest to Ebenezer that you make it clear on the calendar that session is just for board 12 members, so that the public doesn't get confused on.
Great point. Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify.
Wayne?
Yeah, Tanya, I recall we, I guess last month, discussed doing something in terms of training in July, but I thought everyone was pretty clear they wanted to keep August free.
Mm-hmm. Well, we didn't really talk about August in any depth or anything. We sort of left it.
Well, we didn't talk about it in depth, but the general sentiment was folks wanted to have a month off.
Yeah. I mean, I think the dilemma is, and I think this is what we did discuss, was the problem and the dilemma of trying to get these things included in September when things get really, really busy for the board. We have a packed calendar, and it becomes harder to then schedule these sort of trainings, right? And I think, and I hear you. Listen, I want a break, and not only organizing this, but I'm also like you. I have a lot going on and things I want to do in the summer. But I just think that what we were trying to do is reconcile, like, okay, we know people are going to be really busy starting September, and we don't know where we can really fit a lot of this stuff, a lot of this in, as far as these foundational trainings, right? And so that's what Catherine and I were talking about in terms of how to really do that. And so we talked about, let's just do the one regarding transgender and gender non-conforming communities in August, because September is going to be really impossible. And even October, we get into the budgeting process and we get into other things. And so it just becomes harder. And I hear you, Wayne, trust me, I understand this is not easy, but what we're trying to say to this board is that this is important work. This is important, and we, in the positions that we're in, and we have to have this knowledge. We have to do these things correctly if we're going to represent the community. And so for me, it's just like, it's hard, but this has to be a priority for us to do this. And we're trying to work as much as we can, but this is going to be a sacrifice for all of us, including me and everybody else, to make this happen. And again, this is just one aspect of what we agreed to do in the resolution. It's not even all of it.
No, I'm fully aware of what we agreed to do in the resolution, but also, depending on what hat we wear, we go through some of this training, at least I do, in other venues as well.
Yes.
So it is,
Yes.
somewhat familiar
Yes.
to some of us I think most
Yes.
people in city and state government, some of it's mandatory. So
Yes, yes.
it's not unfamiliar at all.
I get it, and I believe me, I've taken these trainings numerous times, so I know, and it's been mandatory. So I totally understand, but that's why. But we have to also understand that this is to ensure that we all are starting out on the same starting line. Everybody has the same foundational knowledge, so that we can all begin the next phase with that same knowledge.
Yeah,
because everybody is in different places,
Yeah,
right?
all I'm saying
right.
is when it comes to August, I at this juncture
Wayne,
can speak to commitments and
Okay.
other than that as well.
Wayne,
I understand.
To break away and leave the concept.
all right.
I
Okay,
understand. I understand.
Mary has another question to ask, and then Ebenezer, and we'll go to all business. Mary? Mary, you have your hand up. Is that because you wanted to ask something? Unmute yourself. Mary.
Sorry.
All right.
It's not a question, but a comment about August meetings. I mean, I feel like I'm giving up. I haven't seen my family in 2 years, and I'm sorry, but August I'm going to see my family for the first time in 2 years. I have, babies that I haven't seen yet that are already a year old, year and a half old. I need to do that for myself. I'm giving up July, doing anything in July because we have all these scheduled meetings, but I'm not going to give up August. I want to participate in all this training and that, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to be here in August. And that's the bottom line for me,
No, I hear you. I hear you. And that's what, we're hearing this feedback. We're just trying to figure out how to make it work. And, depending on what the September calendar is looking like, maybe we can fit it in there. I don't know. But this is something that we need to figure out how to make sure we have, able to have, and I hear you, maximum participation. Believe me, I'm not insensitive to that. I get it.
All right. So we're going to go to all business, and then Rosie, one last
I
comment.
have a quick question. Is there any possible way where is it like a live training, or can it be like recorded for those who can't make it?
Well, again, I don't know. This is the New York, what their process is, what their policy is in terms of recording these things. I don't know, and I'd have to ask that question. But I think the idea of this is for it to be interactive, for us to be able to be there, engage in the moment, as we're discussing these things, because that's how these type of trainings work best, is when we're in community engagement. But I'd have to ask if they're going to record it, though. I don't know. I can find that out, and I'll email you.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Rosie. Jose, you wanted to say something about all business, and then we're going to call for an adjournment.
Okay, so we just spent 35 minutes at the beginning of this meeting to, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm just getting close to the mic, sorry.
Okay, we spent 35 minutes at the beginning of the meeting just talking about the September calendar. This is not the first time that happened. For a number of years, we're going through the same thing over and over again at the same time. It could be September, October with some holidays, and then November, December. My suggestion is to have the office just add all the holidays before they send the calendar to the chairs, so they can look at that and study it and sleep on it or whatever, and come back with the date that they want to change their meetings. So we don't spend 35 minutes on that every year. It's the same thing. The next round of meetings will need to change, will likely be November, December, but maybe there are more. I'm not sure. Do we need to vote on that? What do we need to do to have that start going from here on? We can't have 35 minutes spent on this every time there are holidays. So that's a question. Do we need to vote on that to make it like the law of the land, or what?
Yeah, the answer is that we will include every faith, every holiday possible to all faiths. That's what should be done. And that's what we will do. And we're going to start that exercise as Wayne suggested by plugging in those holidays for September, since that is the critical month here, and then we all collaborate based on that one. But moving forward, it should be done just about every time that one of us, because there's always new people in the executive meeting, all right, collaborates and puts in their input into this kind of these changes.
Okay, I didn't mean to
Makes sense?
discriminate. I didn't mean to discriminate among all the
Okay, sorry.
religions. But I'm just saying that has to be systematic. If we decide about something now, that has to happen here and ongoing. We can't go over that and do another old business about that because it wasn't being like done. That's my point. We decide about it, let's do it.
Great point. Jim, then we're gonna call the
The
meeting.
city has an official calendar, I believe, with every imaginable holiday on it, including Muslim holidays and additional religions. And I think we can just make use of that calendar and incorporate it into our calendar, and then OC's suggestion. And this is just how we do it from now on. And I don't think we have to vote on it. This is just something the office will do from now on, that our calendar will always, as many calendars do, include all of these important religious holidays. So they will sit there and we will know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Steve Ebenezer.
Mr. Chairman, I just sent the September calendar with the holiday in red. I just sent it a few minutes ago. Please review it. And usually for this discussion, we had the school calendar that reflect all the holidays that the city of New York observe, and also in certain religious holidays, the school observe one day and the other day the school is open. So, and that what we have been following all this year when we made this decision around the holidays. Certain days, they have 3 days holidays. The school only is closed one day, so we can simulate and do something like that in order to have the date for the meetings. So please review what I sent you and get back to me as soon as possible to complete the September 2021 calendar.
Okay, thanks, Ebenezer. So again, thanks all of you. It's the sum of all parts, and it's all of us. So I'm gonna get the motion on the floor to call the meeting for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Great night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, everyone.